The phone call that started it all. Riley Morrison was elbow deep in sudsy water, scrubbing down the surgery table at Paws and Claws Veterinary Clinic when her phone started buzzing like an angry hornet. She ignored it. The third ring made her coworker Jennifer poke her head through the doorway. "Riley, your phone won't stop. Might be important." "It's probably my landlord reminding me that rent exists," Riley muttered. But she dried her hands anyway and grabbed her phone from her locker. Unknown number. She almost declined, but something made her answer. "Is this Riley Ann Morrison?" A woman's voice, professional and slightly too excited. "Depends on who's asking and whether I'm in trouble." The woman laughed. "Not in trouble at all. This is Amanda Chen from Prestige Travel Experiences. I'm calling to inform you that you've won our grand summer getaway." Riley froze. "I didn't enter any contest." "Actually, someone entered on your behalf. A Jennifer Watts. She listed you as the primary winner." Riley shot a look at Jennifer, who was suddenly very interested in organizing supplies. That sounds like something Jennifer would do. "What exactly did I win?" "A 7-day luxury vacation at a private estate in Newport, Rhode Island. All expenses paid, gourmet meals, spa access, the works. Valued at over $20,000. Riley's brain stuttered. $20,000. That was 6 months of her salary. What's the catch? Amanda's pause was just long enough to be suspicious. "There is one small requirement. The estate owner is looking for someone to pose as his wife for the week while his family visits. It's completely legitimate, I assure you. He'll explain everything if you're interested in meeting him." "Pose as his wife," Riley repeated slowly. "Like in a movie. Exactly like in a movie. If you're uncomfortable, we completely understand. But if you're willing to hear him out, he's requested a meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. in Manhattan. I can text you the address." Riley should have said no. Should have hung up and gone back to her normal life of dog emergencies and instant noodles for dinner. Instead, she heard herself say, "Text me the address." The man behind the offer, the building in Manhattan, made Riley's entire apartment complex look like a storage unit. The doorman didn't even blink at her worn jeans and faded sneakers. Jess smiled politely and directed her to the private elevator. "Penthouse level. Mr. Blackwell is expecting you." The elevator was the size of her bedroom. Riley watched the numbers climb and tried to remember how to breathe like a normal person. The doors opened directly into an apartment that belonged in an architecture. Magazine.floor-2 ceiling windows showcased Central Park. The furniture was all clean lines and expensive fabrics. A grand piano sat in the corner like it was perfectly normal to own a grand piano. Everything screamed money in a quiet, confident way that was somehow more intimidating than if it had been covered in gold. "You came." Riley spun around. The man standing in the doorway was not what she expected. She'd pictured someone older, stuffy, maybe balding. This man looked like he'd walked off a movie set. Dark hair, strong jawline, eyes so blue they looked fake. He wore dark jeans and a charcoal sweater that probably cost more than her car. "Mr. Blackwell?" "Nathan, please." He moved into the room with easy confidence. "Can I get you something? Water? Coffee? Something stronger for this absolutely insane conversation we're about to have?" Despite everything, Riley smiled. "Water's fine. And yes, let's talk about the insane part." He poured 2 glasses from a fancy bottle and gestured to the couch. Riley sat, acutely aware of how out of place she looked. "Here's the situation," Nathan said, sitting across from her. "My family is intense. Specifically, my mother Patricia and my grandfather Harold. They've decided I need to settle down, get married, produce heirs. The usual family dynasty pressure sounds exhausting.
Nice.
It is. They've been parading potential wives in front of me for 2 years. I've tried being direct, tried ignoring them, tried everything short of actually getting married. Then I thought, why not just pretend? So you created a fake wife contest. I created a mutually beneficial arrangement." Nathan leaned forward. "You get a week at a luxury estate with full access to everything. Private beach, chef, spa, whatever you want. In exchange, you attend family dinners, act affectionate in public, and convince my family we're happily married." Riley crossed her arms. Why not hire an actress? Tried that. My grandfather saw through it in about 30 seconds. He has a sixth sense for fake things. But a real person, someone with an actual personality, that might work. This is completely crazy. This is $15,000. Riley's brain short-circuited. I'm sorry, what? Nathan pulled out his phone and showed her a contract. $15,000 cash at the end of the week, plus the vacation, plus expenses. All legal, all above board. Riley stared at the number. $15,000 would change her life. Pay off her credit cards. Fix her car's transmission. Give her breathing room for the first time in years. I have conditions, she heard herself say. Nathan's eyebrows rose. I'm listening. Separate bedrooms. Non-negotiable. Already in the contract. No weird couple stuff. This is acting. Professional acting. Agreed. Though we'll need to be convincing in public. Hand-holding. Maybe an arm around the waist. Nothing uncomfortable. When would this start? 3 days. My family arrives Saturday morning. We leave for Newport Friday afternoon. We'll have time to get our story straight in practice. Riley thought about her tiny apartment, her impossible bills, her complete lack of savings. She thought about Jennifer's voice. When was the last time you had a vacation? She thought about the number on that contract. Where do I sign? Welcome to Newport Friday arrived faster than Riley could mentally prepare. She stood in her bedroom staring at her suitcase like it might offer guidance. What did one pack for a fake marriage to a millionaire? Her phone rang. Nathan? Car will be there in 20 minutes. Pack for warm weather and at least 2 formal dinners. Don't stress about clothes too much. We can handle that when you arrive. It's easy for you to say. You probably have a closet the size of my apartment. 2 closets, actually. See you soon, wife. He hung up before Riley could respond. Wife. This was really happening. The car that arrived was sleek and black and driven by a kind older man named George, who insisted on carrying her battered duffel bag. Like it was made of crystal, the drive to Newport took 3 hours. Riley watched the scenery change from city to suburbs to coastal beauty. When they finally pulled through iron gates and down a tree-lined drive, her jaw dropped. The house wasn't a house. It was an estate. White columns, sprawling gardens, an actual fountain in the circular driveway. The ocean sparkled behind it, visible through carefully maintained trees. Nathan appeared on the front steps. Riley's stomach did an uncomfortable flip. He wore khaki pants and a white linen shirt with the sleeves rolled up. His hair was slightly windblown, and he looked like he belonged in a cologne commercial. This was going to be a problem, Riley. He jogged down the steps with a genuine smile. You made it. What do you think? I think your house has a name, doesn't it? Like estates in British novels. Technically, it's called Windward Point, but I just call it the Newport House. He grabbed her bag from George. Come on, let me show you around before the family arrives. The interior was somehow even more impressive. Marble floors, vaulted ceilings, art that definitely wasn't from department stores. Riley followed Nathan through room after room, each more beautiful than the last. This is your room, Nathan said, opening a door to reveal a space 3 times the size of her entire apartment. A 4-poster bed dominated the center. French doors led to a private balcony overlooking the ocean. This is just for me. All yours. My room is down the hall. Close enough to be convincing, far enough for privacy. He set her bag down. Get settled. Family dinner's at 7. That gives us 2 hours to get our story straight. Story they met in Nathan's study, a room filled with books and comfortable leather chairs. For the next 90 minutes, they constructed an elaborate fiction they'd met 4 months ago at a charity fundraiser. Riley had been volunteering at the animal adoption booth. Nathan had been dragged there by a business associate. He'd stopped to pet a golden retriever puppy, and they'd started talking. What made you fall for me? Riley asked. Nathan considered this. You argued with me about proper dog care. Told me I was completely wrong about training methods. No one argues with me. So you fell in love because I was difficult? I fell in love because you were real. His eyes met hers and something electric passed between them. Let's say that. They covered favorite foods, movies, books, pet peeves. Riley learned Nathan loved jazz music and hated horror films. Nathan learned Riley was terrified of heights and obsessed with mystery novels. "Okay," Nathan said, checking his watch. "1 hour until dinner? We need to practice." "Practice what?" "Being married." Stood and held out his hand. "We need to be comfortable touching each other. If we're awkward, my grandfather will notice immediately." Riley took his hand. The contact sent sparks up her arm. Nathan pulled her closer, his other hand settling on her waist. They were suddenly very close. "This is where you put your hand on my shoulder," Nathan said quietly. Riley complied, trying not to notice how solid he felt or how good he smelled, like ocean air and something woodsy. "Now we just exist like this for a moment. Get used to the proximity." They swayed slightly. Riley's heart was doing gymnastics. "My grandfather will ask how I proposed," Nathan said. "What should I say?" "Tell him you did it at the animal shelter, where we met. Very full circle." Nathan smiled. "That's perfect. He'll love that." "Did you actually get a ring?" Nathan pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside was a delicate gold band with a single sapphire surrounded by tiny diamonds. "It was my grandmother's," he said softly. "She passed away 5 years ago. My grandfather will recognize it." He took Riley's left hand and slid the ring on. It fit perfectly. "How did you know my size?" "Lucky guess." His thumb brushed over the ring, then her hand. "How does it feel?" "Like I'm about to commit the world's most elaborate fraud." "It's not fraud. Theater. Very expensive, very convincing theater." A door slammed somewhere in the house. Voices echoed through the halls. Nathan's whole body tensed. "They're early," he muttered. Of course they're early. The voices were getting closer. One male, deep and authoritative. One female, sharp and assessing. "We're not ready," Riley whispered. Nathan grabbed her face gently in both hands. "Yes, we are. Remember, we're in love. You adore me. This is real. It's not real. Then make them believe it is." The study door opened. A distinguished older man with silver hair and sharp eyes stood there, next to an elegant woman in her 60s with perfectly styled dark hair. Both of them stared at Riley like she was a puzzle to solve. Nathan's arm wrapped around Riley's waist, pulling her against his side. The gesture was so natural, so possessive, that Riley almost forgot it was fake. "Grandfather, mother," Nathan said with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I'd like you to meet my wife, Riley." The silence that followed could have shattered glass. The older man's eyes narrowed. "Your what?" "My wife. Riley Morrison Blackwell. We got married 3 weeks ago." Riley managed a small wave. "Hi, it's wonderful to finally meet you both." Nathan's mother had gone pale. "Nathan Christopher Blackwell, are you telling me you got married without telling your family?" "It was spontaneous," Nathan said. "Various." "There is no us," his mother snapped. "We didn't even know you were dating someone." The grandfather held up one hand, silencing everyone. His gaze never left Riley's face. Assessing, calculating, searching for the lie. This was it. The moment where everything fell apart. Then he smiled. "Well," he said, moving into the room with surprising grace for his age, "this is certainly unexpected. Tell me, dear, how exactly did you meet my grandson?" Riley opened her mouth, her mind suddenly blank of every rehearsed detail. Nathan's hand squeezed her waist gently. "I met him at a charity fundraiser," Riley heard herself say. "I was volunteering with the animal rescue booth, and he stopped to pet a puppy." "A puppy?" The grandfather's eyebrows rose. "Golden retriever. 8 weeks old. Nathan told me his training methods, and I told him he was completely wrong." Nathan laughed. "She did. Most people don't argue with me. But you argued with him anyway?" The grandfather asked Riley. "Someone had to. He was going to ruin that poor puppy." The grandfather's laugh was sudden and genuine. "I like her. She has spine. Nathan, you might have actually done something right." Nathan's mother still looked shell-shocked. "This is insane. You can't just marry someone you've known for 4 months." "Actually, Mom, I can." I'm 33 years old, Patricia, the grandfather said firmly. Let them breathe. We'll have plenty of time to get to know our new granddaughter over dinner. He turned back to Riley with a smile that was almost predatory. Won't we, dear? Riley felt Nathan's arm tighten around her. This week was going to be even longer than she'd thought. Absolutely, Riley said, matching the grandfather's smile. I can't wait. The first family dinner really had exactly 30 minutes to transform from panicked fake wife to convincing real wife. She stood in her massive bedroom, staring at the 3 outfit options she'd brought, none of which seemed appropriate for dinner with people who probably owned actual Monets. A knock at the door made her jump. Come in. A woman in her 50s entered, carrying a garment bag. Mrs. Blackwell? I'm Helen, the house manager. Mr. Nathan thought you might like some options for dinner. She unzipped the bag to reveal 3 beautiful dresses. I can't wear these. They're too expensive. Helen smiled kindly. They're yours now, ma'am, Mr. Nathan insists. After Helen left, Riley chose a simple navy dress that made her feel slightly less like an imposter. She pulled her auburn hair into a loose bun and applied minimal makeup. The sapphire ring caught the light every time she moved, a constant reminder of the lie she was living. The dining room was elegant without being stuffy. A long mahogany table was set for 4 with china that probably cost more than Riley's car. Nathan's mother, Patricia, sat at one end, her posture perfect, her expression unreadable. Grandfather Harold sat at the other end, watching everything with those sharp eyes. Nathan appeared at Riley's elbow, looking handsome in a dark button-down. His hand found the small of her back, warm and steady. Ready? He murmured. Not even a little bit. Perfect. Me neither. He guided her to seats in the middle of the table. A server Riley hadn't met appeared with wine. Harold raised his glass. 2 unexpected blessings, he said, his eyes twinkling. And new family members who argue about puppies. They drank. Riley took a larger sip than she probably should have. The first course arrived, some kind of soup that looked too artistic to eat. Riley watched which spoon everyone else used before selecting her own. So, Riley, Patricia said, her voice carefully neutral. Nathan mentioned you work with animals? The way she said it made it sound like Riley cleaned sewers for a living. I'm a veterinary technician, Riley said, keeping her voice steady. At a clinic in Boston, we handle everything from routine checkups to emergency surgeries. How interesting, Patricia's tone suggested. It was anything but. And you have a degree in this? Biology from UMass. I actually wanted to go to vet school, but the debt seemed overwhelming. Harold leaned forward. A practical woman. I respect that. Too many young people these days rack up debt without thinking about consequences. Patricia dabbed her mouth with her napkin. Still, it must be quite an adjustment. Nathan's lifestyle is very different from what you're accustomed to. There it was. The implication that Riley didn't belong. Mom, Nathan said, a warning in his voice. I'm simply stating facts, dear. Riley set down her spoon. You're right, Mrs. Blackwell. This is completely different from my world. But that's what attracted me to Nathan in the first place. He never made me feel less than because I don't summer in the Hamptons or know which fork to use. She picked up the wrong fork deliberately. He just made me feel seen. The table went silent. Nathan's hand found Riley's knee under the table, squeezing gently. Harold chuckled. Direct. I like that. Patricia, stop interrogating the girl. She's family now. Family we knew nothing about, Patricia muttered, but some of the edge had left her voice. The second course arrived. Some kind of fish with a French name Riley couldn't pronounce. Harold started asking Riley about her family, her childhood, her interests. Unlike Patricia's pointed questions, his felt genuinely curious. Riley found herself relaxing slightly, telling stories about growing up in a small town outside Boston, about her parents who ran a hardware store, about her younger brother who was studying engineering. Normal people, Harold said with satisfaction. Good, solid people. Nathan needs more normal in his life. I'm right here, Nathan said. I know. That's why I can say it. Harold turned to Riley. This boy has been wound too tight since he took over the company. All work, no joy. You make him smile. I saw it when you walked in together. Riley glanced at Nathan. His jaw was tight, but his eyes were soft when they met hers. He makes me smile too, Riley said quietly. And realized it was true? Learning to be a couple after dinner? Nathan pulled Riley into a room he called the library, though it was more like a private bookstore. Floor-to-ceiling shelves, a rolling ladder, leather chairs that looked older than Riley. You were incredible, Nathan said, loosening his collar. That thing about me making you feel seen? My grandfather ate that up. It wasn't just a line. Riley ran her fingers along the book spines. You do make me feel seen. Even in this fake scenario. Nathan moved closer. Riley, about that. I think we need to talk about boundaries because this afternoon, when I put that ring on your finger, when we were standing that close, I felt something. And I need to know if you felt it too, or if I'm losing my mind. Riley's heart hammered. Nathan, this is supposed to be professional. I know what it's supposed to be. I'm asking what it is. Before Riley could answer, Patricia appeared in the doorway. Nathan, I need to speak with you. Privately. Nathan's jaw clenched. Mom, now's not the time. It's fine, Riley said quickly. I'll just explore the house. She slipped past Patricia and into the hallway. Her heart still racing from Nathan's almost confession. A walk on the beach. Riley found her way to the back terrace and down to the beach. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The ocean stretched endlessly, and for the first time all day, Riley could breathe. Beautiful, isn't it? Riley turned to find Harold walking toward her, hands in his pockets. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it. My wife loved this spot. We'd walk here every evening when we visited. His expression softened. She passed 5 years ago. Cancer. I'm sorry. Don't be. We had 47 wonderful years together. More than most people get. He stood beside her, both of them facing the water. I knew I wanted to marry her the day we met. She was volunteering at a hospital fundraiser, arguing with the event organizer about flower arrangements. She was fierce and funny and completely herself. Riley smiled. Sounds like an amazing woman. It was, and she would have liked you. Harold turned to study Riley. You're not what I expected for Nathan. Is that good or bad? Good. Very good. He needs someone real. Someone who challenges him. All these society girls Patricia keeps pushing at him, they just want the Blackwell name. But you look at him like he's just a man. That's rare. Guilt twisted in Riley's stomach. She was exactly what Harold feared, just in a different way. A fraud. A performer. Can I give you some advice? Harold asked. Of course. Whatever brought you two together, however it happened, don't let fear ruin it. Love is rare. Real connection is rarer. If you found it, fight for it. Right. Riley nodded. Not trusting her voice, Harold patted her shoulder and walked back toward the house. Leaving Riley alone with her thoughts and the uncomfortable realization that she was falling for a man she was supposed to be pretending to love. The gala announcement the next morning. Riley was having coffee on her balcony when Nathan knocked and entered. Looking stressed? We have a problem. Just one? My grandfather is throwing a charity gala tomorrow night. Here, he just announced it at breakfast. Riley set down her coffee cup. Tomorrow night? 75 guests. Local society, business associates, family friends. Everyone will want to meet my mysterious wife. 75 people, Nathan. I can barely fool 3. Nathan sat beside her. You're not fooling anyone. You're being yourself. That's what's working. Is it working? Because your mother still looks at me like I'm a con artist. My mother looks at everyone like they're a con artist. It's her default setting. Nathan took Riley's hand. Look, I know this is getting complicated. I know this isn't what you signed up for. But we're halfway through the week. We can do this. Can we? Riley met his eyes. Because last night you said you felt something. I need to know if that was just you getting caught up in the act, or if this is real because I can't tell anymore, Nathan. I can't tell what's real. Nathan's thumb traced circles on her palm. I don't know either. but I know I like being around you. I know I haven't laughed this much in years. I know that when I put that ring on your finger, something shifted, and I can't shift it back." They sat in silence, the ocean breeze rustling around them. "We have one more day to prepare for the gala," Nathan said finally. "Let's focus on that. And after, when this is all over, maybe we can figure out what this is." "Maybe," Riley whispered. The ex-fiancé arrives that afternoon. Riley was reading in the garden when a sleek convertible pulled up the drive. A woman stepped out, all blonde hair and designer clothes. Moving with the confidence of someone who'd been here many times before, Nathan appeared from the house, his expression darkening. "Jessica." The woman smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. "Nathan, darling. Your mother called and told me the most ridiculous story about you getting married. I had to come see for myself." Her gaze landed on Riley, assessing and dismissive. "You must be the wife." "How unexpected." Riley stood, smoothing her sundress. "Riley Blackwell." "And you are?" "Jessica Hartley, Nathan's fiancée." "Well, former fiancée, you dated for 8 months," Nathan corrected. 3 years ago. We were never engaged." "Semantics." Jessica waved a hand. "Nathan, we need to talk. Privately. Anything you need to say, you can say in front of my wife." Jessica's smile sharpened. "Fine. Your mother told me this whole marriage is suspicious. 4 months of dating and a sudden wedding? No family present? It doesn't add up." "Our relationship isn't your concern," Nathan said coldly. "It is when you're clearly making a mistake." Jessica turned to Riley. "No offense, dear, but you're not exactly Blackwell material. Wrong education, wrong background, wrong everything. How long do you really think this will last?" Something snapped in Riley. Maybe it was the past 2 days of tension. Maybe it was Patricia's judgment, or the weight of the lie. Maybe it was the way Jessica looked at Nathan like he was property. "You're right," Riley said calmly. "I'm not Blackwell material. I don't have a trust fund or society connections. I work 60-hour weeks at a job I love, treating animals who can't afford expensive vet care. I eat cereal for dinner sometimes, and my car makes weird noises." She moved to stand beside Nathan, who was watching her with an expression she couldn't read. "But I look at Nathan and see a man who's brilliant and funny and kind. A man who volunteers at animal shelters and pretends he doesn't. A man who carries the weight of his family's expectations but still manages to be gentle. And maybe I'm not what you think he needs, but I'm what he chose. So unless he asks me to leave, I'm staying." The silence that followed was deafening. Then Harold's voice came from the terrace. "Well said, my dear. Very well said indeed." Jessica's face had gone red. "This is ridiculous." "Nathan, you can't seriously be happy with her." Nathan's arm wrapped around Riley's waist. "I'm happier than I've been in years. Now I think it's time for you to leave." Jessica stared at him for a long moment, then laughed bitterly. "You'll regret this." She climbed into her convertible and peeled out of the driveway. Riley's hands were shaking. Nathan turned her to face him. "That was either the bravest or most reckless thing I've ever seen. Probably both." Nathan smiled. "Thank you for defending me. Thank you for defending me first." They stood there in the garden, the afternoon sun warm on their faces, and Riley realized with crystal clarity that she was in serious trouble. This wasn't pretend anymore. Somewhere between the contract signing and this moment, she'd actually fallen for Nathan Blackwell, the night before the gala that evening. Patricia requested another private conversation with Riley. They met on the terrace as the sun set. "I owe you an apology," Patricia said without preamble. "I've been unfair to you." Riley blinked. "I wasn't expecting that. My husband died suddenly. One moment he was fine, the next he was gone. Since then, I've been terrified of losing Nathan too. So I've tried to control everything, including who he dates." Patricia's voice cracked slightly. "But watching you defend him today, seeing the way he looks at you, I realized I've been so busy protecting him that I forgot to let him live. Mrs. Blackwell, Patricia, please." She took Riley's hand. "Whatever happened between you two, however it happened, it's real. I can see that now. And I'm sorry for making you feel unwelcome in our family. Guilt crashed over Riley like a wave. This woman was apologizing, accepting her, and Riley was lying to her face. Patricia, I need to tell you something. Whatever it is can wait. Right now, I want you to know that you're welcome here. Truly welcome. She squeezed Riley's hand and left, and Riley stood alone on the terrace. The weight of her deception crushing her chest. The charity Gaylorly barely slept. She spent the night staring at the ceiling, wrestling with guilt and confusion and feelings she couldn't name. By the time morning arrived, she'd made a decision. After the gala, she'd tell Nathan they needed to come clean. The lie had gone too far. A team of stylists arrived at noon. They descended on Riley with an efficiency that was both impressive and terrifying. Hair, makeup, nails, all while discussing her like she wasn't there. The dress was breathtaking. A deep emerald green that somehow made Riley's hazel eyes look striking. It hugged her curves before flowing to the floor, elegant without being ostentatious. When Riley looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. Nathan knocked at 6 o'clock. Riley opened the door and watched his expression transform from polite to stunned. You look, he paused, searching for words. You look absolutely incredible. The dress does all the work. It's not the dress. Nathan stepped inside, closing the door behind him. He wore a perfectly tailored tuxedo that made him look like he'd stepped out of a spy movie. Riley, before we go down there and face 75 people, I need to say something. Nathan, I need to say something too. After tonight, we need to tell your family the truth. This has gone too far. Your mother apologized to me. Your grandfather treats me like real family. We're lying to people who care about you, and I can't do it anymore. Nathan's expression shifted. You're right. I know you're right. But can we get through tonight first? One more night, and then we'll figure out how to fix this. Riley nodded, though her stomach churned with anxiety. Nathan offered his arm. Ready to face the lions? Do I have a choice? Not really, but I'll be right beside you the entire time. Facing society, the back lawn had been transformed into something from a fairy tale. String lights crisscrossed overhead. Round tables draped in white linens dotted the grass. A jazz band played softly. Waiters circulated with champagne and appetizers that probably had French names, and people. So many people, all dressed in designer labels, all turning to stare as Nathan and Riley descended the terrace stairs. Harold appeared first, dapper in his tuxedo. There's the couple of the hour. Riley, my dear, you look stunning. Thank you, Harold. Now prepare yourself. Everyone wants to meet Nathan's mysterious bride. Just be yourself. You've been doing brilliantly so far. The guilt threatened to choke Riley, but she forced a smile. The next 2 hours were a blur of introductions. Business associates, society matrons, old family friends. Everyone wanted to know how they met when they knew it was love, whether children were in the future. Riley answered on autopilot, her smile frozen in place. Nathan stayed close, his hand on her back or holding hers, a constant anchor. Then she saw Jessica across the lawn. Holding court with a group of women, her expression smug. She's planning something, Riley murmured to Nathan. Let her plan. We've got this. But Riley's unease grew. The dance that changed everything after dinner, the band transitioned to dancing. Harold insisted on the first dance with Riley while Nathan danced with Patricia. You're doing wonderfully, Harold said as they swayed. Though you look terrified. Is it that obvious? Only to someone who's watching closely. His eyes twinkled. Which I am. You care for him deeply, don't you? I do, Riley whispered, and realized it was the first completely honest thing she'd said all night. Then whatever obstacles you face, you'll overcome them. Love has a way of winning if you let it. The song ended. Harold passed Riley to Nathan, who pulled her close for a slow dance. Thank you, Nathan, said softly. For what? For being here? For putting up with all of this? For being you. His hand tightened on her waist. Riley, when this week is over, I don't want you to leave. Riley's breath caught. Nathan, I know we said we'd figure this out after, but I can't wait. I need you to know that this stopped being fake for me days ago. Maybe it was never fake. Maybe I've just been pretending it was so I wouldn't have to admit how much I've fallen for you. Riley's eyes burned with tears. I've fallen for you too. But Nathan, we've built this whole thing on a lie. Your family thinks we're really married. How do we come back from that? We tell them the truth, together, and we deal with the consequences together. They'll hate me. They'll understand. Eventually, and if they don't, then we figure it out. But I'm not letting you walk away without fighting for this. For us, the song ended, but neither of them moved. They stood in the middle of the dance floor, the world spinning around them, suspended in a moment of perfect clarity. Then Jessica's voice cut through the music. Everyone, can I have your attention, please? The band stopped. Conversations died. Every head turned toward Jessica, who stood on the terrace holding a microphone. Riley's stomach dropped. I have an announcement, Jessica said, her smile vicious. About our happy couple. You see, I did some digging, and I discovered something fascinating. Jessica, don't, Nathan warned, but she ignored him. Nathan and Riley aren't really married. This whole thing is a setup. A fake marriage designed to fool his family. Isn't that right, Riley? The silence was absolute. 75 pairs of eyes turned to stare at Riley and Nathan. Harold's expression was unreadable. Patricia had gone pale. Riley felt the world tilt. This was it. The moment everything fell apart, the truth comes out. Nathan stepped forward, his hand still holding Riley's. Jessica, you're right, partially. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Patricia pressed a hand to her chest. Harold's jaw tightened. This started as an arrangement, Nathan continued, his voice steady. I was tired of my family's matchmaking attempts. I was tired of women like you, Jessica, who only wanted the Blackwell name. So I came up with a plan to hire someone to pretend to be my wife for 1 week. More gasps. Someone whispered disgraceful. But something happened that I didn't expect. Nathan turned to Riley. I fell in love with her. The real her? Not some society-approved version or carefully curated image. Just Riley, who argues about dog training and calls me out when I'm being difficult and makes me laugh for the first time in years. He turned back to the crowd. So yes, this started as a lie, and I apologize for that. But what I feel for Riley is the most honest thing in my life right now. Riley couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Nathan had just confessed everything in front of everyone. How could you? Patricia's voice cut through the silence. She walked toward them, her face a mask of hurt and anger. How could you lie to us like this? Mom, I'm sorry. Patricia's voice broke. I trusted her. I apologized to her. I welcomed her into our family, and it was all fake. Mrs. Blackwell, Riley started, tears streaming down her face. I never meant to hurt you. Any of you? I know that doesn't excuse what I did, but you need to know that everything I've said about Nathan is true. He is brilliant and kind and funny. He does make me feel seen. And somewhere in this fake marriage, I fell completely in love with him. She turned to Nathan. I love you. Not your house or your money or your name, just you. The man who volunteers at animal shelters and quotes jazz lyrics and looks at me like I'm something precious. I love you, and I'm so sorry I let this go on for so long. The silence stretched. Someone coughed. The band stood frozen, unsure whether to play. Then Harold stepped forward. He said slowly, This is certainly the most interesting charity gala we've ever hosted. Dad, Patricia said sharply. This isn't funny. I'm not laughing, Patricia. I'm thinking. Harold looked between Nathan and Riley. You two lied to us. Manipulated us. That's unacceptable. Riley nodded, tears still flowing. I know, I'm so sorry. However, Harold continued. I've been watching you both all week, and what I've seen is two people who genuinely care for each other. Two people who found something real in the middle of something fake. He turned to the crowd. My grandson made a mistake. A big one. But he did it because he was desperate to breathe under the weight of our expectations. And this young woman, she agreed to help him even though it went against everything she believes in. That tells me something about both their characters. Harold looked back at Nathan and Riley. You want my blessing? You don't have it? Not yet. You'll have to earn it. Both of you. But I'm willing to give you the chance because I remember what it's like to find someone who makes you want to be better. Patricia was crying now. Mother and I need time to process this. But Harold's right. You've been happier this week than I've seen you in 5 years, Nathan? So I'm not writing this off. Not yet. She walked back toward the house, wiping her eyes. Several guests followed, murmuring amongst themselves. Others stayed, clearly not wanting to miss the drama. Jessica stood on the terrace, her plan having backfired spectacularly. This is ridiculous. They lied to everyone. And you crashed a private event to cause a scene, Harold said coldly. I think it's time for you to leave, Miss Hartley. Jessica glared at Riley one last time before storming off. The band, taking their cue, started playing again. Some guests drifted back to their tables. Others left. The gala continued in a surreal, subdued way. Nathan pulled Riley into his arms. That went better than expected. Your grandfather almost disowned you, but he didn't. That's the important part. Nathan cupped her face in his hands. Riley Morrison, we've done this completely backward. Started with marriage, fell in love, and now we need to actually date. But I meant what I said. I love you. And I want to do this right. We just blew up your family's charity gala. Best gala I've ever been to. He smiled. So what do you say? Want to try this for real? No contracts, no fake marriage, just us figuring this out together? Riley laughed through her tears. You're completely insane. Is that a yes? That's a yes. Nathan kissed her there in the middle of the ruined gala, and Riley kissed him back, no longer pretending, no longer acting. Just to people who'd found something real in the most unexpected place. 6 months later, Eiley sat on the beach at Windward Point, watching the sunset. The house was quiet. No gala, no family drama, just peace. Nathan appeared with 2 glasses of wine and sat beside her. Harold called. He and Patricia are coming for dinner next week. How mad are they still? On a scale of 1 to 10? About a 4. We're making progress. They'd spent the past 6 months rebuilding trust with Nathan's family. It had been messy and difficult and often frustrating, but they were getting there. Patricia had even taken Riley shopping last month, which felt like a massive victory. I got the loan approved, Riley said suddenly. Nathan turned to her. The clinic. I'm buying it. Well, me and a business partner. We'll expand services, maybe open a satellite location in a low-income neighborhood. Riley, that's incredible. Nathan pulled her close. I'm so proud of you. None of this would have happened without that ridiculous raffle. Best raffle I ever created, Riley laughed. You're never going to live that down. I don't want to. Nathan took her hand, the sapphire ring catching the fading light. It was real now. They'd made it official 3 months ago in a small ceremony with just family. Riley Morrison Blackwell, you are the best mistake I ever made. Wow, romance. I love you. I love you too. They sat on the beach as the sun disappeared below the horizon. 2 people who'd found forever in a fake marriage, proving that sometimes the best love stories start with the most ridiculous beginnings. And Riley couldn't help but think that maybe, just maybe, some raffles were worth entering, after all.